Hello, welcome to Current News. I'm your host, Chris Davis, and today we're going to talk about the NFL protest that happened over this past weekend. So this past weekend, a lot of football teams did protesting during their games. Some knelt, some locked arms, some knelt and locked arms, some stayed in their locker rooms during the national anthem, and for doing so, they received a lot of criticism from fans, a lot of boos. The Dallas Cowboys did something a little unique. They knelt before the national anthem, but then they stood up for the national anthem. So Jerry Jones, the owner, wanted them to make a point with their protest, but still wanted them to respect the national anthem. Now, this whole thing started when Donald Trump was at a Huntsville, Alabama, a rally in Huntsville, Alabama. And you know, his rallies, they can get carried away. He got caught up in the moment again, and he said another blank statement. He called NFL players SOBs and said that they should get fired. And as soon as he said that, all the football players united together, and you saw a lot of protest over this past weekend. A lot of players kneeling during the national anthem, locking arms. And then Donald Trump took to Twitter to criticize the NFL players and their team and owners. So let me read to you some of the tweets that he made. If NFL fans refuse to go to games until players stop disrespecting our flag and country, you will see change take place. Fast, fire or suspend. NFL attendance and ratings are way down. Boring games, yes, but many stay away because they love our country. League should back US. Great solidarity for our national anthem and for our country. Standing with locked arms is good. Kneeling is not acceptable. Bad ratings. Courageous patriots have fought and died for our great American flag. We must honor and respect it. Make America great again. Sports fans should never condone players that do not stand for their national anthem or for their country. NFL should change policy. Many people booed the players who kneeled yesterday, which was a small percentage of total. These are fans who demand respect for our flag. The issue of kneeling has nothing to do with race. It is about respect for our country, flag, and national anthem. NFL must respect this. Hashtag stand for the anthem. Ratings for NFL football are way down except before game starts, when people tune in to see whether or not our country will be disrespected. Okay, that's a little funny. The booing at the NFL football game last night, when the entire Dallas team dropped to its knees, was the loudest I have ever heard. Great anger. But while Dallas dropped to its knees as a team, they all stood up for our national anthem. Big progress being made. We all love our country. The NFL has all sorts of rules and regulations. The only way out for them is to set a rule that you can't kneel during our national anthem. Those are a lot of tweets, and there's more of them. I'll share more with you later. But while the NFL and the NBA have been criticizing Donald Trump, and I'll talk about the NBA later, there is a sport that has been supporting Donald Trump, and it's NASCAR. Over this past weekend, no driver or crew member of NASCAR protested. There were two owners who spoke about the NFL protesting Donald Trump. Their names are Richard Childress and Richard Petty. Okay, so Richard Childress said, kneeling during the national anthem, it'll get you a ride on a Greyhound bus. Anybody that works for me should respect the country we live in. So many people gave their lives for it. This is America. Richard Petty, he's a NASCAR owner. Anybody that don't stand up for the anthem ought to be out of the country, period. What got them where they're at? The United States. So NASCAR has backed the president, and they got praised for it. Now, Donald Trump has received a lot of campaign donations from some NFL team owners. So you would think that maybe he would leave them alone. But as you saw on Twitter, that's not the case. What I want to get into next is it okay for these athletes to protest? And I also want to talk about the the motive. Why are they protesting? Okay, so first things first, is it okay for them to protest? I say yes, whether we like it or not. They're still American citizens, and that's their right. They have a right to peacefully protest. Um, I, People who have been criticizing them have been using the military and first responders as props, saying they're disrespecting them. They're disrespecting their sacrifice that they've made for this country. And what I want to say is that's why the military serves. That's why they fought and died. So we can have freedom and we can peacefully express our viewpoints to our government and to criticize our government when we think our government is doing something wrong, so we can make social changes. That's why they did serve and die and protect our freedom, so we can freely express our opinion on social issues and to make social changes, to make the country better. Um, is it a good idea for these athletes to protest during games? Maybe financially, it's not. It's probably not a good business model for them to do that. The NFL, they want to stay away from politics as much as possible. Robert Kraft, who has donated a lot to Donald Trump, and who is considered a friend of Donald Trump, has said that there's nothing more uniting than sports and nothing more divisive than politics. So the NFL, their owners, they want to stay away from politics as much as possible, because they don't want to say they're liberal. They don't want to say they're conservative. They don't want to take away eyeballs off their programs. They want everybody engaged in football, no matter what their race or religion or what their political ideology is. They want everybody engaged in football. And whether people have disagreements on those three things, a lot of them come together for their love and passion for sports and football more specifically. Now I want to talk about why are these teams protesting? Why? Um, I've looked at a lot of perspectives on this issue. I've listened to a lot of sports analysts, um, ESPN First Take, FS1, First Things First, Undisputed, Speak for Yourself, The Herd Line, to get all kinds of viewpoints on this issue. But the one that stood out to me the most was Undisputed. The host, Shannon Sharp, he made some very good points. He really talked about why these teams are protesting and whether or not they're protesting for the right reasons. And the point that he made is that these teams started protesting when Donald Trump called them SOBs at a rally and said that they should get fired for kneeling for the national anthem. That's when they started protesting. So they're not protesting against inequality in America. They're not necessarily protesting his behavior. They're protesting someone who has been elected, and if that's why they're protesting, then that won't be really good for them. And to elaborate more on this point, he mentioned that despite what Donald Trump said about Mexicans, Donald Trump said that Mexico is sending rapists, drug dealers, crimes, murderers There was no protesting from the NFL. They didn't talk about it. Despite what happened in the Access Hollywood bus with Billy Bush, still didn't protest against him, despite getting an endorsement from David Duke, leader of the Ku Klux Klan. No protesting. What happened in Charlottesville with the neo-Nazi protesters? Donald Trump didn't immediately criticize them. No protesting from the NFL. So why, after all Donald Trump has done, after all of that, why are they deciding now to protest? So you're protesting Donald Trump because he's telling you all what to do. You're not necessarily protesting against his policies. When he's attacking you all, that's when you all decide to come together and protest. I mean, I liked the unity and all the players protesting against Donald Trump, but you have to question that motive of why. Now, a player's motives who you cannot question is Colin Kaepernick. He started this whole thing. He knelt during the national anthem when Barack Obama was president, and he received a lot of criticism for it. Eventually, it cost him his football career. No owner or coach wanted to hire him or bring him on their team, despite him being better than a lot of other quarterbacks, especially backups, because they thought he was too toxic, that he would be a distraction from like the sports. But you can't question Colin Kaepernick's motives, because he did it when it was unpopular. He did it when he received all this criticism from sports analysts and from other businesses who dropped their endorsements, and when he couldn't get a job. So he did it because he really cared about social injustices. Unarmed black man excessively being killed by armed police officers at a very high rate. He was doing it for a good reason, for a good cause. He wasn't just doing it for money. So that's one person like you can't question. Colin Kaepernick will definitely go down in history. He'll be remembered for kneeling during the national anthem. You can question these other players' motives, but you can't question Colin Kaepernick. He did it way before they did, when it was unpopular, when he was being ridiculed for it. Now I want to go over to another sport, the NBA. Stephen Curry decided that he wasn't going to go to a White House ceremony for winning the championship this past year. And because he chose not to go, Donald Trump tweeted this. Let me read this to you real quick. Going to the White House is considered a great honor for a championship team. Stephen Curry is hesitating, therefore invitation is withdrawn. So that's what Donald Trump tweeted. And then LeBron James tweeted this next. Alright, he tweeted, "You bum. At Stephen Curry 30 already said he ain't going, so therefore ain't no invite. Going to the White House was a great honor until you showed up." LeBron James got in front of camera saying how Donald Trump is lowering the standard of the Oval Office, how he's degrading it, how he doesn't understand how much power or what the power he has. Donald Trump does not understand that little children look up to the president for guidance and how to behave in civil society. Another person who got in on this is the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs, Greg Popovich. Let's listen to what he has to say.
I'm more worried about and more confused by the people around our president. These are intelligent people who know exactly what's going on, who were basically very negative about his actions, but now it seems that it's condoned. And, we saw it this weekend with his comments about people that should be fired or people that shouldn't be allowed to do this sort of thing. I wonder what the people think about who voted for him, where their line is, how much they can take, where does the morality and the decency kick in. Our country's an embarrassment in the world. This is an individual who actually thought that when people held arms during the games that they were doing it to honor the flag. That's delusional. Absolutely delusional, but it's what we have to live with. So you got a choice. We can continue to bounce our heads off the wall with his conduct, or we can decide that the institutions of our country are more important, that people are more important, that the decent America that we all thought we had and want is more important, and get down to business at the grassroots level and do what we have to do. I guess that's enough for now. Obviously, race is the elephant in the room, and we all understand that. But unless it is talked about constantly, it's not going to get better. People get bored. Oh, is it that again? They're pulling a race card again. Why do we have to talk about that? Well, because it's uncomfortable. And there has to be an uncomfortable element in the discourse for anything to change. Whether it's an LGBT movement or, women's suffrage, race, it doesn't matter. People have to be made to feel uncomfortable, and especially white people, because we're comfortable. We still have no clue of what being born white means. It's like you're at the 50 meter mark in a 100-meter dash. And you got that kind of a lead. Yes, because you were born white, you have advantages that are systemically, culturally, psychologically there. And they have been built up and cemented for hundreds of years. But many people can't look at it. It's too difficult. It can't be something that is on their plate on a daily basis. People want to hold their position. People want the status quo. People don't want to give that up. And until it's given up, it's not going to be fixed. Again, I'm just one dude walking around, and that's how I feel.
Okay, you heard him. He said that Donald Trump has lowered America's standing in the world, and you can find points to back that up. Donald Trump's UN speech, it was bad. He said he was going to wipe out North Korea. He called Kim Jong-un Rocket Man. He's escalating tensions between the U.S. and North Korea. There's concerns for World War III. Donald Trump has pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord. He has pulled out of the Iranian nuclear deal. I understand that President Obama helped lead this stuff, but it was still in America's best interest to stay in these agreements. Why is any other country going to consider bringing the U.S. to the table if all we're going to do is just walk out? So, yes, Donald Trump has hurt our standing in the world. So, what it looks like is that for a while, sports and politics are going to be intertwined. I just think nowadays that athletes are caught between a rock and a hard place. If you don't protest against Trump, you're tolerant of what he does. If you do protest against him, then you're unpatriotic. I think a lot of athletes are pressured to talk about politics and talk about social issues because when something bad happens, like the shooting of unarmed black man, a lot of athletes get a lot of criticism for not using their social standing to influence politicians and social issues. But if they do that, they get criticism from sports analysts, from their coaches, saying, don't talk about politics, stay away from that. So what do? Do they use their position to influence change in the country for the better, or do they keep their politics in the locker room and stay quiet about that stuff? So that's the position I think a lot of athletes are in. That's all we have for today. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. Tell me what you think about this in the comment section below. Also, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And all of you, have a great day.